The Azerbaijani armed forces were re-established according to the law of the Republic of Azerbaijan on the Armed Forces from 9 October 1991. The Azerbaijan Democratic Republic had originally formed its own armed forces from 26 June 1918. However, these were dissolved after Azerbaijan was absorbed into the Soviet Union as the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic from 28 April 1920. After the Soviet Union dissolved in 1991–92, the armed forces were reformed based on Soviet bases and equipment left on Azeri soil. The armed forces have three branches: the Azerbaijani Land Forces, the Azerbaijani Air and Air Defense Force, and the Azerbaijani Navy. Associated forces include the Azerbaijani National Guard, the internal troops of Azerbaijan, and the State Border Service, which can be involved in state defense under certain circumstances. According to the Azerbaijani media sources, the military expenditures of Azerbaijan for 2009 were set at $2.46 billion USD. However, according to SIPRI, only $1.473 billion was spent in that year. IISS also suggests that the defense budget in 2009 was $1.5 billion. The Ministry of Defense Industry of Azerbaijan supervises the design, manufacturing, regulation and maintenance of military equipment. In the future, Azerbaijan hopes to start building tanks, armored vehicles, military planes and military helicopters. The incumbent Minister of Defense of Azerbaijan is Colonel General Zakir Hasanov, who succeeded Safar Abiyev. Overview. Since the fall of the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan has been trying to further develop its armed forces into a professional, well-trained, and mobile military. Azerbaijan has been undergoing extensive modernization and capacity-expanding programs, with the military budget increasing from around $300 million in 2005 to $2.46 billion in 2009. The total armed forces number 56,840 men in the land forces, 7,900 men in the Air Force and Air Defense Force, and 2,200 men in the Navy. There are also 19,500 personnel in the National Guard, State Border Service, and internal troops. In addition, there are 300,000 former service personnel who have had military service in the last 15 years. The military hardware of Azerbaijan consists of 220 main battle tanks. An additional 162 T-80s were acquired between 2005 and 2010, 595 armored combat vehicles and 270 artillery systems. The Air Force has about 106 aircraft and 35 helicopters. Azerbaijan has acceded to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty as the non-nuclear weapons state. Azerbaijan participates in NATO's Partnership for Peace. Azerbaijan joined the multinational force in 2003. It sent 150 troops to Iraq, and later troops to Kosovo. Azeri troops are still serving in Afghanistan. Despite the rise in Azerbaijan's defense budget, the armed forces were assessed in 2008 as not having a high state of battle readiness and being ill-prepared for wide-scale combat operations. Today, National Hero of Azerbaijan is the highest national title in the country, awarded for outstanding services of national importance to Azerbaijan in defense, as well as other deeds in other spheres. History of the Azerbaijani military. Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. The history of the modern Azerbaijan army dates back to Azerbaijan Democratic Republic in 1918, when the armed forces of Azerbaijan Republic were created on the 26th of June 1918. First de facto Minister of Defense of ADR was Dr. Khosrow Bey Sultanov. When the ministry was formally established, Gen. Samid Pirmamedov became the minister, and then Lt. Gen. Ali Igashiklinsky his deputy. Chiefs of Staff of ADR Army were Lt. Gen. Maciej Sulkovich and March Gen. Abdul Hamid Bey Gatabashi. The Red Army invaded Azerbaijan on 28 April 1920. Although the bulk of the newly formed Azerbaijani army was engaged in putting down an Armenian revolt that had just broken out in Karabakh, the Azeris did not surrender the brief independence of 1918-20 quickly or easily. As many as 20,000 of the total 30,000 soldiers died resisting what was effectively a Russian reconquest. The National Army of Azerbaijan was abolished by the Bolshevik government. 15 of the 21 army generals were executed by the Bolsheviks. World War II. During World War II, Azerbaijan played a crucial role in the strategic energy policy of Soviet Union. Much of the Soviet Union's oil on the Eastern Front was supplied by Baku, by a decree of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR in February 1942. The commitment of more than 500 workers and employees of the oil industry of Azerbaijan was recognized with orders and medals. Operation Edelweiss, carried out by the German Wehrmacht, targeted Baku because of the importance of its oil fields to the USSR. Some 800,000 Azerbaijanis fought within the ranks of the Soviet army, of which 400,000 died. Azeri national formations of the Red Army included the 223rd, 227th, 396th, 402nd, and 416th Rifle Divisions. Azeri Major General Hazy Aslanov was awarded as second hero of the Soviet Union after a long post-war fight for recognition of his accomplishments. Dissolution of the Soviet armed forces. During the Cold War, Azerbaijan had been the deployment area of units of the Soviet Fourth Army, whose principal formations in 1988 included 4 motor rifle divisions. The 75th Motor Rifle Division was isolated in Nakhichevan. The Fourth Army also included missile and air defense brigades and artillery and rocket regiments. The 75th Division's stores and equipment were apparently transferred to the Nakhichevan authorities. Azerbaijan also hosted the 49th Arsenal of the Soviet Main Agency of Missiles and Artillery, which contained over 7,000 train carloads of ammunition to the excess of 1 billion units. The first president of Azerbaijan, Ilyas Mutalibov, did not wish to build an independent army, wanting to rely instead largely on Soviet troops. Even when the parliament decided that an army should be formed in September 1991, disagreements between the government and the opposition Azerbaijani Popular Front Party impeded creation of a unified force. Around this time, the first unit of the new army was formed on the basis of the 18 to 110 military unit of mechanized infantry of the Soviet ground forces located in Zhikov, south of Baku. At the time of the parliamentary decision, Lieutenant General Valer Barshadli became the first Minister of Defense of Azerbaijan, for the 5th of September to the 11th of December 1991. Later, from May to the 4th of September 1992, he served as Chief of General Staff of Azerbaijani Armed Forces. In summer 1992, the nascent Defense Ministry received a resolution by the Azerbaijani president on the takeover of units and formations in Azerbaijani territory. It then forwarded an ultimatum to Moscow demanding control over vehicles and armaments of the 135th and 139th Motor Rifle Regiments of the 295th Motor Rifle Division. In July 1992, Azerbaijan ratified the Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe. which establishes comprehensive limits on key categories of conventional military equipment. Azerbaijan approved the CFE flank agreement in May 1997. The transfer of the property of the 4th Army and the 49th Arsenal was completed in 1992. Thus, by the end of 1992, Azerbaijan received arms and military hardware sufficient for approximately 4 motor rifle divisions with prescribed army units. It also inherited naval ships. There are also reports that 50 combat aircraft from the disbanded 19th Army of the Soviet Air Defense Forces came under Azeri control. After Lt. Gen. Barshadli became Chief of General Staff, subsequent defense ministers from 1992 have included Maj. Gen. Tajeddin Mediyev, Colonel Shafan Musayev, Interior Troops Colonel Tahir Aliyev, Rahim Gaziev, Maj. Gen. Dardash Shayev, Maj. Gen. Safar Abiyev, Maj. Gen. Vahid Musayev, Maj. Gen. Mamad Rafi Mamadov, Col. Gen. Safar Abiyev, Col. Gen. Zakir Hasanov. The Azeri armed forces took a series of devastating defeats by Armenian forces during the 1992–1994 Nagorno-Karabakh War, which resulted in the loss of control of Nagorno-Karabakh proper and 7 surrounding rayons, comprising roughly 16% of the territory of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijani sources insist that Armenian victory was largely due to military help from Russia and the wealthy Armenian diaspora. Armenians partially deny the allegation, claiming that Russian side was equally supplying Armenian and Azerbaijani sides with weapons and mercenaries. During the war, the Azeri armed forces were also aided by Turkish military advisors and Russian, Ukrainian, Chechen and Afghan mercenaries. Non-combat deaths. A number of Azerbaijani human rights groups have been tracking non-combat deaths and have noted an upward trend, based on Defense Ministry statistics that had not been released to the public. The Group of Monitoring Compliance with Human Rights in the Army has recorded the deaths of 76 soldiers to date in non-combat incidents for 2011, and the injury of 91 others. In comparison, there were 62 non-combat deaths and 71 cases of injury in 2010. The string of non-combat deaths raises questions about the reform progress of the military. Factors behind the deaths include bullying, hazing, and the systemic corruption within the Azeri military. Land forces. The Azerbaijani land forces number 85,000 strong, according to UK Advanced Research and Assessment Group estimates. The 2,500 men of the National Guard are also part of the ground forces. In addition, there are 300,000 former service personnel who have had military service in the last 15 years. Other paramilitary agencies consist of Interior Ministry internal troops of Azerbaijan, 12,000 strong, and the land component of the State Border Service, 5,000 strong. Azerbaijan has signed numerous contracts to strengthen its armed forces and to train its military with Turkey's assistance. Over the last 15 years, Azerbaijan has been preparing its military for possible action against Armenian forces in Nagorno-Karabakh. Organization. The land forces consist of 5 Army Corps. 1st Army Corps, also known as Evlaks Army Corps. 2nd Army Corps, also known as Perekshkal Army Corps. 3rd Army Corps, also known as Shamkir Army Corps. 4th Army Corps, also known as Baku Army Corps. 5th Army Corps, also known as Nakhchivan Army Corps. The land forces include 23 motor rifle brigades, an artillery brigade, a multiple rocket launcher brigade, and an anti-tank regiment. The IISS Military Balance reported in 2007 that the land forces had an estimated 40 Sa-13 Gopher, Sa-4 Ganef, and Sa-8 Gecko air defense missile systems, with 80 to 240 F. To support the army in the battlefield. The peacekeeping forces of Azerbaijan are mostly supplied from the land forces, though the internal troops of Azerbaijan do also supply some. As of March 2011, 94 peacekeepers were deployed with the International Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan. In the past, it also actively supported the peacekeeping operation in Kosovo and Iraq. The Azeri peacekeeping unit deployed in Iraq consisted of 14 officers, 16 sergeants and 120 privates, a total of 150 troops. The unit secured the hydroelectric power station and reservoir in Al-Haditha from August 2003. In December 2008, Azerbaijan withdrew the unit from Iraq. Reportedly in December 2014, Azerbaijan created the 6th Army Corps in Nakhchivan. Karim Mustafayev became commander of the Special 6th Army Corps. The Special 6th Army Corps has been created based on the Nakhchivan 5th Army Corps to strengthen defense capability of Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic, increase of combat capability of military units and formations of the armed forces, improve central control. Reports quoting the Defense Ministry said, Air Forces. The Azerbaijani Air and Air Defense Force is a single unified service branch. Some 8,000 men serve in the Air Force and Air Defense Force. The Azerbaijani Air and Air Defense Force has around 106 aircraft and 35 helicopters. The country has 4 major air bases. Nazozna has fighters, Kiyadamir Air Base a bomber regiment, Ganja Air Base transports, and Bakukala Air Base the helicopter unit. There are also 4 other air bases which do not appear to have aircraft based there. These are Dolyar Air Base, Nikishevan Airport, Sankakal Air Base, and Sitalke Air Base. The Azeri Air Force uses MiG-21, MiG-23, Su-24 and Su-25 aircraft, as well as the MiG-29 purchased from Ukraine in 2006 and Il-76 transport aircraft. The MiG-29 have been designated as the standard aircraft for the Azerbaijani. Azerbaijan is holding talks with either the People's Republic of China or Pakistan to purchase JF-17 Thunder aircraft. MiG-25s previously in service have been retired seemingly in the 2007-09 period. Azerbaijan's helicopter forces concentrated at Bakukala Air Base and according to the IISS consists of a single regiment with around 14-15 Mi-24, 12-13 Mi-8 and 7 Mi-2. Jane's Information Group and the IISS give figures which agree with only a single aircraft's difference. Recently, end of 2010, Russian Rosvertol announced that Azerbaijan Armed Force signed a deal for 24 pieces of Mi-35M gunships, what would further enhance the Azeri ground attack formations. The Air Force has L-29 and L-39 advanced training aircraft in store. The Azerbaijan Border Guard and Voluntary Society of Defense, Patriotism and Sport have Yakovlev flight training aircraft. Air Defense Azerbaijan has missile and radar systems intended to defend Azeri airspace. There are at least 2 divisions of S-300PM U-2. Thereby the country has one of the most capable SAM surface-to-air missile system in the region. Azerbaijan also operates 2 S-200 batteries near Baku and Mingachovir. The S-300PM U-2 represents a logical replacement for these systems, offering coverage of the majority of the nation. The country also has about 100 NATO-designated SAR-2 guideline, SAR-3 GOA, and the SAR-5 Gamma 9 static installations. These may be around Baku and the central part to cover the whole Azeri aerospace. However, August 2011 investigations shows that after purchase of S-300 surface-to-air missiles, the largest apparent gap in Azerbaijan's air defense system may have been filled. Also in Azerbaijan there was a former Soviet early warning radar. The Gabala radar station was a B-static phased array installation, operated by the Russian Space Forces. The contract was signed in 2002 and was due to expire in 2012, where it was to be given back to the Azerbaijani government. The contract costed Russia $7 million per year. The radar station had a range of up to 6,000 kilometers, and was designed to detect intercontinental ballistic missile launches as far as from the Indian Ocean. In December 2012, Russia announced that negotiations had been unsuccessful and that they had stopped using the radar station. The site was given back to Azerbaijan and all the equipment dismantled and transported to Russia. Training and education. Azerbaijani pilots are trained in the Azerbaijan Air Force School and then developing the skills in operational units. Azerbaijan has an experience exchange with Turkey, Ukraine, the United States and a number of NATO countries. The Turkish Air Force School has a great role in the training of Azeri military pilots. Azerbaijani pilots are also trained in Ukraine's pilot training school. Navy. The main naval base of the Soviet Union in the Caspian Sea was based in Baku. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Azerbaijan inherited the naval base and parts of the Caspian Fleet. The Azerbaijan Navy has about 2,200 personnel. The Navy has a Petya-class light frigate Kuzar and a number of patrol craft, including one Turk-class Ararazd P-223, one Bria-class P-218, one Chelan-class P-212, one Polichat-class P-219, one Luga-class T-710, and four Petrushka P-213, P-214, P-215, and P-216. There are four minesweepers consisting of two Sonya-class minesweeper and two Yevgenia-class minesweepers. The Navy is also attributed with 5 landing craft, 3 Polnozhny and 2 Vidra, plus 3 research ships, 1 Project 1047A671 ex-Viaga, 1 Balerian Yuri-Vayev-class survey vessel and 1 Vadim Popov-class survey vessel. The U.S. Navy has helped train the Azeri Navy. There is also an agreement to provide U.S. support to refurbish Azeri warships in the Caspian Sea. In 2006, the U.S. government donated 3 motorboats to the Azerbaijani Navy. In 2007, an agreement between Azeri Navy and a U.S. military company was concluded, which stated that a part of the Azeri Navy would be equipped with advanced laser marksmanship systems. The U.S. company's specialists were also to give training on the use of the new equipment. A number of separate U.S. programs are underway under the Caspian Guard initiative, focused mostly on enhancing Azerbaijani and Kazakh maritime border security. In May 2011, President of the State Oil Company of Azerbaijan Republic Rovnag Abdullayev stated that Azerbaijan to start production of national warships after 2013. Special Forces. The Naval Intelligence of Azerbaijan maintains the 641st Special Warfare Naval Unit. The Special Forces were trained by the Navy SEALs of the U.S., and both Special Forces have participated in joint naval exercises. Headquartered at the Azerbaijani Naval Station on the island of Wolf in the Bay of Baku. Unit 641 has several midget submarines such as Triton 1M and Triton 2 at the disposal, as well as underwater tool motion for individual divers. The special unit is composed of 3 reconnaissance groups, 2 groups for mountainous warfare and 1 diving group. Obligatory training includes parachute jumping day and night, on land and on water. There is also unconfirmed reports of a Tigers Special Warfare Unit. It is said that the Tigers unit was established in cooperation with the Turkish Navy in 2001. The training and structure of the Tigers are similar. The Turkish Special Forces, Su Altitude Airus, and United States Special Forces who have close training relationships with them. The first Tiger units were established at Ganja following a joint training program with Turkey. The Special Forces are equipped with the Israeli IM-Itavort R-21. Defense industry. The Ministry of Defense Industry of Azerbaijan directs domestic military supplies for Azerbaijan. It was established in 2005. The Defense Industries Ministry subsumed the State Department for Military Industry and for Armaments and the Military Science Center, each of which was formerly a separate agency within the Azerbaijani Defense Ministry. The defense industry has emerged as an autonomous entity with a growing defense production capability. The ministry is cooperating with the defense sectors of Ukraine, Belarus and Pakistan, along with other contracts. Azerbaijani defense industries and Turkish companies. Azerbaijan will produce 40mm revolver grenade launch, 107mm and 122mm MLRS systems, Cobra 4x4 vehicles and joint modernization of BTR vehicles in Baku. The major military companies of Azerbaijan are RPE Aglim, Aviation and Shipbuilding, Radio Garage Dirma, Communication Means and Radio Electronic, RPE Neftgazavtomat, Devices and Automation Systems for Monitoring Technological Processes, RPE Automatic Lines, Non-Standard Equipment and Products for Application in Electrotechnical and Machine Engineering, Avia Agagat, Multi-Purpose Aviation Equipment, Various Aerodrome Conditioners, Universal Container of Board Conductor, Air-to-Air Radiators, Fuel Oil, Air-to-Air Heat Exchangers and Ventilators. In early 2008, reports indicated that an agreement with Turkey had been signed which would lead to Azerbaijan producing armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles, and small-caliber artillery pieces. Another 2008 report mentioned Azerbaijan's desire to produce its own military aircraft and helicopters, but quoted a military expert as saying that it would be impossible to do so for the next 5 years.